we're really trying to do with Bluemix is to take the foundational capabilities that make up Watson and make up what Watson will be and make them available to everybody.
So the ecosystem partners are actually able to access the Watson APIs and services in a really seamless way on the cloud. They can get access through Bluemix. They're able to actually sort of play with the application. They can build sample apps or work with some of the apps that are already on the system, or they can go and commercialize their own application and take that API directly to market. We think Watson, and in particular some of the ecosystem partners, can really transform the mobile experience for the end user just based on the types of questions that user can interact with their mobile device.
The number of applications and developers using Watson has been growing exponentially since we launched it. We have people using Watson today in every continent except Antarctica. For those of you from Antarctica watching this video, it's a challenge. Go ahead.
Please welcome Senior Vice President, IBM Watson, Mike Roden.
Good morning. How is everybody? Quiet. Everybody, it's kind of early, isn't it? We have to work on the scheduling a little bit here. Everybody have a good time last night? Yes? Yes? Good. That's probably why everybody thinks it's so early. Right. So, to get started this morning, I'd like to start with a question. What will you do with Watson? That's a question that we've been asking you for about a year, right? Ever since the launch of the Watson Group. And in that time, it's amazing the ideas that individuals and organizations have come up with to help put Watson to work, to start to transform professions, and with that, industries. In fact, I think an amazing experience was last week when I was watching the news. I looked at the Watson ecosystem partner, Elemental Path, introduced the Cognitoy at the New York Toy Show. Right, the Watson-powered mini dinosaur learns with a child. It recognizes speech. It remembers their name. It asks and answers questions. And it even tells knock-knock jokes. So how did the market respond? Right. Cognitoy was launching a Kickstarter campaign to fund their progress as a business. They funded their Kickstarter goal 3 times over in one day. In one day. So there's not a day that goes by that I'm not blown away by an idea for a cognitive application, especially those that really embrace the idea and tap into the potential of the cloud and extending that with mobile. As I said yesterday in the general session, it's clear to us, and I think it's clear to all of you, that a new era of computing has begun, right? We call this era cognitive computing. Cognitive computing is enabling a new kind of partnership between humans and machines. But you might ask, why now? Why is this happening today? It's quite simple, right? Traditional approaches using conventional computing are coming up short to address the problems that we face in today's world. The information being generated is overrunning our ability to keep up. What we're seeing is the intersection of cognitive computing, analytics, cloud, and mobile is the democratization of expertise. And with that, innovation. Watson takes the understanding of an organization, profession, and the industry's best experts and uses that to raise everybody's game. This experience at scale is made possible by the creation of a set of cognitive services, which we can deliver through a cloud-based platform, and that developers and organizations can put to work in their own applications. So what we're going to do today is go a little bit deeper on that. We're going to go into what those services are and how they work. But to start, let's step back and take a look at the underpinnings of what defines cognitive computing and what makes up these services. Can you run the video, please?
Unlike conventional approaches to computing, which can only handle neatly organized structured data, such as what is stored in a database, Watson can understand unstructured data, which is 80% of data today. All of the information that is produced primarily by humans for other humans to consume. This includes everything from literature, articles, research reports, to blogs, posts, and tweets. While structured data is governed by well-defined fields that contain well-specified information, Watson relies on natural language, which is governed by rules of grammar, context, and culture. It's implicit, ambiguous, complex, and a challenge to process. While all human language is difficult to parse, certain idioms can be particularly challenging. In English, for instance, we can feel blue because it's raining cats and dogs, while we're filling in a form someone asked us to fill out. When it comes to text, Watson doesn't just look for keyword matches or synonyms like a search engine. It actually reads and interprets text like a person. It does this by breaking down a sentence grammatically, relationally, and structurally, discerning meaning from the semantics of the written material. Watson understands context. This is very different than simple speech recognition, which is how a computer translates human speech into a set of words. Watson tries to understand the real intent of the user's language and uses that understanding to possibly extract logical responses and draw inferences to potential answers through a broad array of linguistic models and algorithms. Across an organization, Watson scales and democratizes expertise by surfacing accurate responses and answers to an inquiry or question. Watson also accelerates expertise by surfacing a set of possibilities from a large body of data, saving valuable time. Today, Watson is revolutionizing the way we make decisions, become experts, and share expertise in fields as diverse as law, medicine, and even cooking. Further, Watson is discovering and offering answers and patterns we hadn't known existed faster than any person or group of people ever could, in ways that make a material difference every day. Most important of all, Watson learns, adapts, and keeps getting smarter. It actually gains value with age by learning from its interactions with us and from its own successes and failures, just like we do. So, now that you know how it works, how do these ideas inspire how you work? How can Watson make you a better expert? What will you do with Watson?
So, cute little way to look at how a complex supercomputer works, right? What you can start to see here is the promise of cognitive computing to fundamentally change the relationship we have with information, and in fact, to change the way we practice our professions. It's going to allow us to enhance, scale, and accelerate human expertise. Over time, Watson's only getting smarter. Today, Watson's learning to understand new languages, like Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, and now Japanese, widely considered the most difficult language for a computer to understand. Learning Japanese is more than simply translating user interfaces. Watson's having to learn the nuances and subtleties of the Japanese language and culture, along with the 2,000 common characters of the kanji alphabet. This is part of a recently announced partnership with SoftBank to bring IBM Watson to Japan, the world's third largest economy and the second largest consumer of information technology. This is the first of many different innovative ways we're going to work to bring Watson to the world. To commercialize Watson, we've identified 3 distinct opportunities to apply cognitive computing and deliver it all via cloud. First, we see numerous opportunities and requirements to transform entire industries. You saw that yesterday with healthcare, but we're expanding into industries as diverse as law, education, hospitality. Secondly, we see an opportunity for prepackaged, repeatable solutions. Right? These reusable apps come equipped with pre-trained content designed for a very specific use case and aligned to some of the most pressing and meaningful problems in the world today, like Watson for oncology, Watson for wealth management, and even with chefs, with Chef Watson. And finally, and most importantly for this audience, I think, we're opening up access to Watson by exposing its elemental APIs to the world. We have more than a dozen cognitive APIs along with pre-trained content available through the Watson Developer Cloud on Bluemix today. Thousands of companies and startups are using these services already. To demonstrate how these organizations are using these cognitive technologies to build apps, I'd like to welcome Stephen Gold, CMO and Vice President of Partner Programs, IBM Watson Group.
Well, good morning, and thanks, Mike. We put that disclaimer up. Everybody got a chance to read it? Good. So we want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening with the partner programs. It was a year ago, January to be exact, that we announced that we were opening up our development platform to third parties to access these cognitive APIs. Now, this truly was a momentous occasion. IBM has historically, leveraged and capitalized on its technologies and what's coming out of research, but we recognize that we weren't going to be able to move fast enough. So we took what arguably is one of the most impressive innovations and technological advancements in IBM's 100-year history, and we said to the world, come and help us. Bring your creativity, bring your innovation, help us drive transformation and change. And came they did. From a variety of industries. We saw people from media and mining and manufacturing and entertainment, travel and healthcare and retail. And this morning, we're actually going to share with you a journey in retail showing you really what transformation could look like and more impressively is starting to look like. So we're excited to show that to you. You've seen some of the innovation through Elemental Path, Cognitive and Toys. You saw yesterday and heard yesterday from organizations the stature of Mayo and MD Anderson about transformation in healthcare. We're working with Memorial Sloan Kettering and Cleveland Clinic and other institutions and a variety of partners to truly change what's happening across these industries. But let's talk for a second about what Mike had just referenced, and that is the notion of a partner ecosystem. And what really constitutes an ecosystem? Well, if you look at technology, it's certainly at the heart of what we're doing. It is the center cog in everything that we're bringing to market. It is the APIs. In fact, in just a few minutes, Alexa is going to come up and she's going to talk to you more specifically about that very technology. But it's more than technology that will transform and change the industry, right? We need content. Imagine buying a new car and yet not having gasoline to fuel it. It would be slightly underwhelming of an experience. That cognitive fuel, that big data is so integral to an ecosystem to drive these applications. But that's not enough. We've got to bring talent. We need to bring individuals and organizations that are schooled and skilled in machine learning and natural language and big data and analytics to help us bring these applications to market. So that's a critical part of this ecosystem that we're talking about. And we're helping create. Right? And then it's the innovators, the creators of the world that will design and develop the next generation of applications. But the ecosystem goes beyond. We look to leverage the IBM company and our presence in 170 countries and more than 400,000 employees to help lift this ecosystem through our brand. IBM, once again, is the #1 business-to-business brand in the world and the #3 overall brand, be it business-to-business or business-to-consumer. And Watson has gained iconic status. You walk around and you talk to people, and they are fascinated, they are engaged, they are talking about transformation with cognitive computing and Watson. And so it is this very ecosystem that we're building. It is an ecosystem built on the cloud, enabled by mobile, powered by cognitive, and fueled by big data. It is an ecosystem built for speed, scale, and impact. And I'll tell you, we have had an incredible 12 months since we announced the ecosystem. So when we look at that and what we've been able to accomplish, I want to pause and look at a very important component, and that's what we have been doing in education. We recognized early on that for us to be successful, we needed to train the next set of knowledge workers. We needed to advance the skills that were being taught in our universities on a global basis. So last March, we actually approached a handful of universities and we asked them to participate in a program to teach cognitive computing and a curriculum in the fall. So in a matter of months, 10 major universities launched an initiative, taught a cognitive computing class, and you're going to see the outcomes of that a little bit later this morning. This year, there are over 100 universities on a global basis that have signed up to teach a cognitive computing course. This is the next generation of knowledge workers that we will be driving. The other part of this is Mike mentioned the applications that we're building. Watson for oncology, Watson for wealth management, We have over 350 resellers today signed up to help us carry forward and bring these products into the market. But perhaps the thing I certainly am most proud of is what organizations have done with this technology. A year ago, we had 3 organizations that were partnering with us when we made the announcement about opening up the platform. We looked at retail, healthcare, and travel. Today, we have over 200 partners, right? And they're diverse. They're solving different types of problems, addressing different needs and use cases. They're driving the next generation of applications into the market. And they're an impressive group. There's individuals and organizations that have proven track records, right, and demonstrable history of showcasing how they will transform industry. Just recently, Terry Jones, many of you may have known the name. He was the founder of Travelocity. He was the chairman of Kayak, announced a new travel company called Wayblazer. Terry intends to transform the industry for the 3rd time, bringing the agent experience back into the equation with the Watson cognitive capabilities. We're in 75 countries, 17 industries, and across 6 continents. And the type of partners we're working with, right, really span the spectrum from individuals and entrepreneurs, small ISVs, big ISVs, system integrators, as well as digital agencies, and many other types of organization. So Mike talked a little bit about the why now. Why is this so important? Well, if you flash back for a moment, there's always defining moments in history that drive technological change. It was 1890 that they concluded it would take 13 years to complete the US Census. Well, that was slightly problematic since it was done every 10 years. It gave way to tabulation, mechanical computing, punch cards. Right? That technology reinvigorated and changed the way not only the census was done, but systems like Social Security. In the 50s, we saw the rise of programmatic computing. Computing based on logic, based on rules, based on information that was neatly organized into rows and columns, based on mathematical principle, right, by the mathematician von Neumann. And for 64 years, that is what we have known of computing. Now, it's progressed. I suspect very few of you today program in BASIC or Fortran, right? Java, Ruby, new languages, but the same basic principle. What's happening now is this convergence that Mike referenced, where information is proliferating at such a rate, and there's such an opportunity to take advantage of that information and alter and change the experience that we're having. In fact, IDC has declared 2015 the year of cognitive computing. Gartner identifies IBM as having the richest and most robust platform to build out cognitive computing solutions. And by 2018, they estimate that half of the individuals in the world, 3.5 billion people, will be using a cognitive solution every single day as part of their personal and professional lives. So this is a very exciting time. And what I want to do is take you on a little bit of a journey now and talk about what transformation looks like and allow you to experience through an experience I had what the future looks for in the form of the retail industry. So it was about, well, it was exactly October that we launched the new Watson headquarters in downtown New York at 51 Astor Place. And it kind of struck me, it's a new beginning. It was a new time in the creation of an important business point inflection, but it was also a time that I gave pause to and reflected on my own life. I said, this is a great point. I should think about doing something that I've always wanted to do, and I want to get back into biking. It had been a lot of years since I had been on a bike, probably college. And I said, wow, this is kind of giving me the motivation to get into it. It's October. I have a couple months to get in shape here. Obviously, come the spring, I can get going on the bike. One little problem. I actually no longer owned a bicycle. So I said, okay, that's okay. You know what? I can buy a bike. Can't be that hard. And so I did what I suspect most of us would do. I went to my computer and I pulled up a search screen. And on that search screen, I put in the word bicycle. And lo and behold, I got a tremendous response. In fact, I got 249 million tremendous responses. Now, I don't know about you. I clearly don't have that much time to go through each and every response. But in addition, a lot of the responses really weren't relevant to what I was trying to do. And that was ultimately secure and buy a bicycle. So I wasn't interested in insurance, and I wasn't interested in bike history or bike trips. I just wanted to buy a bicycle. And so imagine if we had a situation where I could literally interact with the computer in natural language and express my desire to get back into biking and ask a very simple question about which bike is right for me. Well, that's exactly what I did on a particular bike site that happened to be powered by Watson and an Ask Watson button. So I entered the question, I got my response, and it brought back a bicycle called the Felt AR5. And I had to pause for a second. I'm like, where's my Schwinn? So clearly the world of biking has changed, but to understand the transaction that just took place and the technology that drives it, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Brian O'Keefe, CEO of CellPoints. Brian?
Thank you, Stephen. All right, so why are we here? We are here to get Stephen his bike. I think more broadly, CellPoints as a Watson ecosystem partner is here to help consumers buy the products they have the intent to purchase. And so what I want to demonstrate today is the likely shopper journey that Stephen started to give an overview of, where he would go from intent to actually having the ability to purchase that product. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a stat from Internet Retailer. 69% of people, when they start the process of shopping, start the process by going to a search engine, as Stephen mentioned. So if Stephen goes to that search engine, as he gave an overview of a moment ago, he gets, 200 million responses? And that was for bike. If he actually entered his actual intent, his cognitive intent, I want to get back in shape. What's the right bike for me? He's going to be presented things like personal training opportunities to get back in shape. He's going to be presented opportunities to take biking trips, maybe to Arizona. He's going to be presented opportunities to maybe finance his bike or insure his bike. But his intent is clear and known up front. And then he's going to remember after 2 or 3 of these clicks, oh yeah, I want to buy a bike. Maybe I should go to an e-commerce site. So if he goes to an e-commerce site, and this is actually taken from a multi-billion-dollar outdoor and recreational e-commerce site. And if he enters the search terms that really directly show his intent, I want to get back in shape, what's the right bike for me? 0 results. The word bike was in the search. I went to a mega e-commerce site and entered the same query, and oddly I got 3 smartphones back. Broken. Big problem, right? Why is that? The reason why is when e-commerce first evolved, they set it up like a store with categories and aisles and sections. And so when Stephen goes to shop, and when we all go to shop, what do? You select the biking category. And then within bikes, he's interested in the road bike. And then within the road bike category, a traditional road bike, not a triathlon. And then he finally gets to the assortment of products he's interested in. In the case of that e-commerce site that I showed a moment ago, they have 370 models of bikes. 0 results. But now he's been shown this rich media content on the right, the content on the right. It's all the descriptive text, all of the product reviews in the same natural language he's interested in, or that his question was posed in. So now the thing we're solving here, the thing we're talking about here, is the half-life of the shopper. Over 15 years of serving the e-commerce industry at CellPoints, we've attained the position of being the number 3 provider of rich media content to the Internet Retailer 500. And what we see across the board is with each click in a shopping journey that Stephen or someone like Stephen has to take, 40% of the people drop off. What that means in the 8 clicks we've just walked through is only 1 Stephen out of 100 will actually look at the products. What we also know is when they get to that product page, there's a 300% chance that he's more likely to buy it. So what's disruptive and innovative about Watson is we take all this content over on the right, all that text, all that contextual, natural language that's there from the product descriptions and from other consumers, worded in the same voice as his search query. We ingest it into a corpus of Watson. We train it to make sure the context is right. so he doesn't get a personal trainer result. And then he can enter his search query. I want to get back into shape. What's the right bike for me? In one exchange, now we have 60 Stevens out of 100 getting the chance to buy their bike, not one. That's how SellPoints is working with Watson to really optimize and fix e-commerce site search. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, Brian, just for clarification, I said I wanted to get back into biking, not back into shape.
Oh, not that you need it.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's amazing. We've just taken an experience and we altered it from simple search and keyword match to the notion of discovery, to finding something that's relevant to me in a way that I can actually interact. But I got to tell you the truth, right? I'm unlikely to click through and actually purchase the bike. Why? Well, it's a major expenditure, and I kind of like to have that sensation of seeing and touching and experiencing the bike. So what I did is I actually got in the car and I drove over to a bike store. And like most of us, I went in and I immediately beelined to a corner so I wouldn't be accosted by a sales associate. I just wanted to explore the opportunity and see what the new generation of bicycles look like. Now, I happened to see a kiosk in the corner, and the kiosk had a little promotion, enter, log in to win a bicycle. And so I entered my Twitter handle. Now, what I didn't realize is that my experience from that moment on was being tailored and personalized to me as an individual. It was drawing upon Watson's ability, right, to understand my personal attributes and my personal preferences. And so I had this truly wonderful experience interacting with this kiosk, identifying now what bike should I get. Now remember, the connectivity between offline and online and starting to pull together, right, a continuum or a continuous experience for me as that individual. To understand what it takes to create that in-store personalized experience, joining me today is Michael Gorell, CEO of IQ. Hey, Michael.
Thanks, Steven. Good morning. The retail shelves are the battlefield for brands, with over 70% of shopper decisions being made there. Those that fail to make themselves stand out from the noise lose sales, loyalty, and ultimately that coveted shelf position. Brands always need to figure out a way to win at the shelf, and IQ brings the best of the digital shelf into the physical store where 92% of a brand's revenue is earned. The IQ solution uses multiple tools to learn about shopper behavior in store and engage customers with targeted digital content at their point of decision. These tools include facial intelligence. We're able to determine things like shoppers' age, gender, and emotional response to messaging. Mobile location analytics. We're able to determine things like shopper loyalty and in-store browsing history. Interactive displays that are installed at the shelf, and now with cognitive computing, with Watson's personality insights, enables us to deliver an even greater level of personalization by taking a shopper's personality traits and incorporating that into our algorithm. So now, in addition to providing shoppers with an incredible in-store experience, IQ also provides leading brands and retailers with insights and analytics into shopper behavior they've never had available to them before, giving brands the ability to now continue to refine their messaging until that 70% of shopper decisions continually fall in their favor. So now let's look a little bit behind the scenes of how IQ works. So when a shopper enters a store and walks up to one of our IQ kiosks, we ask them for their Twitter handle so we could try to choose their best bike for them, kind of gamifying the experience a little bit. The IQ system then pulls their latest Twitter feed and sends a JSON file to the Watson Personality Insights API. The Watson API then returns a separate JSON file, which we then put into the IQ platform. So we use this along with age, gender, and loyalty to completely personalize that shopper's in-store experience. So now let's look at IQ in action. Our first customer is a 35-year-old female named Sarah. So after Sarah enters her Twitter handle onto the IQ display, we reach out to Watson and get her personality traits along with her age, her gender, and her loyalty, and we're able to personalize everything from the bike that we've selected for her, which happens to be a women's-specific bike, to the video she sees, which happens to show a little bit of her competitive nature, to all the different information that she sees on screen, including full ratings and reviews like what you see up above. So, Stephen, you're interested in purchasing a bike to get back in shape. So let's see what the IQ system delivers for you. Well, we put Stephen's Twitter handle into the system, and as you'll see, Stephen gets a completely different digital experience than what Sarah received. So Stephen clearly has a high level of creativity, which is a pretty good trait for a CMO, right? So we show you a behind-the-scenes video. You'd rather have a summary of information, so that's what we show you. And you are definitely a big spender, so we show you a pretty high-end bicycle. So at IQ, with the help of Watson's cognitive capabilities, we deliver the power of online inside the physical store. Thank you.
You know, Michael, I got to tell you, that is amazing. They almost pegged me exactly, except for the big spender part. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm in front of the kiosk, and I feel like I have a good command of the knowledge about bicycles and which bike is right for me, but I have a couple questions. So at this point in the process, I wave a sales associate over, and there's things that I'm trying to learn about the bicycle. For example, what exactly does composite materials in a frame mean to me as a rider? Do I really need carbon fiber wheels? What is your exchange policy if for some reason I turn out that this is not the bike for me? And by the way, do you know of any bike clubs in the area I could join? And so to get these answers, I'm hoping that the particular sales associate is well schooled in knowledge and trained. Well, it turns out that the sales associate that came over to me had only been on board about 2 weeks. Not exactly an unusual experience, had 2 days of immersive training. So they're not yet fully up to speed on the bicycles, let alone the store's policies, let alone what's happening in the area when it comes to cycling. But what's interesting is this particular sales associate has a tablet running the CellSmart solution by Red Ant, powered by IBM Watson, to redefine that final step in the retail experience. To talk to me about how CellSmart operates, I'm pleased to welcome the CTO of Red Ant, Dan Hartfeld. Thanks, Dan.
Good morning. So I just want to take a bit of a step back from the specific example that Steve was using there, talk a bit about some of the problems facing retailers in store. So Red Ant specialize in connecting and enhancing the customer experience through smarter technology. We've got years of experience working with retailers as well as with consumer research. And we've been doing quite a lot of consumer research into this area, and one of the key things that we found at the moment is that customers are having a better experience online than they are in store. They've got better access to information, they've got information that's more tailored to their needs, and they've got information that they can use as reliable. Contrast that with sales assistants having less than 50% of sales assistants having less than 2 hours training before they're put in front of a customer, and 43% admitting to lying to customers every week due to a lack of product knowledge. So that creates a huge gap between what we see online and what we can trust online and what we see in store. And customers are feeling this too. Customers are seeing that actually the experience that they're getting in store is not necessarily trustworthy, but it's also not the greatest of experience in answering their questions and their needs. And they're also recognizing that technology can help with this. Gartner recently did a study that showed that two-thirds of luxury customers are more likely to approach a shop assistant if they're digitally enabled, so if they've got access to product information there and then. So the key insight here is that there's a missing part, and that missing part is empowered, knowledgeable employees. But how do we give them access to that information? How do we give them access to information that not only can the consumers get online, but also more information to be able to answer questions that consumers might ask when they come in store? And that's why we created CellSmart. CellSmart is a voice-activated sales trainer that uses the power of Watson to bring big data to the shop floor. It helps sales staff learn more about the products that they sell, but it also helps build winning conversations with the customers that are most likely to lead to satisfaction and sales. We can then crowdsource the information and learning to help train Watson over time so that Watson gets better and better at helping your sales assistants. So I'd like to show you a little bit about how CellSmart works with an example. So going back to Steve's bicycle search. So by this point, he's done his research online, he's got a better idea of what he's looking for, but he's still got questions, and that's why he's come in store. He wants to get those questions answered, he wants to see the products in real life, and he wants to critique what he's found out so far. So he might go up to a sales assistant and ask a question. Say something like, I've heard the Felts are great mountain bikes, but I want a bike that I can take on the road every day. Well, Watson can give us those answers, and SalesSmart can help surface those to help start to build a conversation between the customer and the sales assistant. So the SalesSmart might come back with a question, with an answer along the lines of, the Felt AR5 is made to be ridden all day long, both on-road and off-road. The key there is it's not just giving us the answer, it's not just giving us the recommended products, but it's giving us specific answers to something that Steve has asked. We can then also provide detailed product information and potential purchase options for products that have been discussed in those answers. And we can also then give follow-up questions that other customers have previously asked, starting to build a conversation and helping anticipate the specific needs for Steve. After that conversation as well, the sales assistant can then feed back on both the customer satisfaction and the sales success. So this is then used to help train Watson further, helping all sales assistants in the company benefit from every conversation you have with every customer. And with that, we're using Watson and SalesSmart really to use technology to bridge the gap to make retail human again. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Dan.
You know what? The only thing that's left now is for you to buy that bike.
Yeah, I got to get going on that. I know it's February. It's almost spring. Think about what we just saw. Think about the journey we just took together. We started online with a very different type of experience. This experience wasn't search-driven. It was discovery. And I found what I thought was oh, my gosh. Well, that's fantastic.
Handled the purchase for you.
Terrific. Appreciate that. So I got my bike now. I'm just about ready to go. And it started with that online. Went to the store. Interacted with a kiosk that gave me additional confidence and understanding and allowed me to physically experience my new bike to get ready for my journey and I guess getting in shape. And then I got my questions answered. I got my questions answered in a way that was evidence-based, informed, and aligned to helping me make that final decision and purchase. This truly is transforming the way an industry, in this case retail, is going to operate for us in the future. I appreciate you joining me on this journey. And now I'd like to invite Alexis Wainson, our Director of Product, to come up and talk to you about how we actually enabled this transformation to occur. Thanks, Alexa.
Thank you, Stephen. I was really hoping, I don't know about anyone else in the room, that Stephen was going to ride the bike off stage, demonstrate all his skills from months of practice. But as Mike and Stephen have both mentioned, in the face of growing complexity, we're working to scale Watson across industries and geographies for the broader purpose of transforming professions and ultimately economies. But we can't do it alone. So think about the vision that Stephen set forth in his comments a few moments ago. 3.5 billion people touching cognitive technology by 2018. To enable this vision, we have to be incredibly focused on making cognitive capabilities not only broadly available, but easy to consume. So Watson's at work in 17 industries, and we saw some amazing examples yesterday on the main stage of how institutions like MD Anderson are putting cognitive to work. And just a few moments ago, we witnessed the incredible transformation that 3 of our ecosystem partners are driving in the retail space. But there's another set of stakeholders that I personally believe are critical to our progress, and that's the developer community. So let's go back to the fundamental premise. If we are going to enable broad transformation, we really need to think about enabling broad adoption. And that means we don't just make our services and our technologies available to hundreds of clients or hundreds of ecosystem partners. We have to think about making it available to a global developer community. We also have to think about how we inspire that community to create, how we teach that community to use the technologies. And in my personal belief, and this is important, how we capture feedback from that community so that, like Watson, we learn and get better over time. Watson Developer Cloud is proof of this commitment. For those of you who are not familiar, last fall we launched Watson Developer Cloud. We started with one API, question and answer, which we made available on Bluemix. Since then, we've expanded to 13 services with more to come. We have 6,800 developers with more to come, hint, hint. and we've built 7,000 applications, which is incredible. For those of you who were in the main stage session yesterday, you saw Heather show us an example of how companies like Citi are fueling innovation, not only through the use of a single service, but through unique combinations of multiple services that help them deliver personalized experiences for their client, new, unique personalized experiences for their client, and support new use cases. So I want to share a story about my own personal experience with a multi-service Watson application. Like many of you in the audience, I'm sure, I'm a big tennis fan, so I look forward to the Grand Slam tournaments. And a few months before the Australian Open, my team came to me and said, we want to build an application. We want to change how people experience the Australian Open. So in just 6 weeks, the team was able to build and deliver an application that did 3 things. It allowed you to ask questions about any Grand Slam tournament going back to 1905. It allowed you to visualize information about an individual game or match. And it also allowed people to do research about their favorite players and compare themselves. So I will tell you, as an aside, I used this application, and I was very excited to discover that I was most like Roger Federer. And obviously, look, an incredible tennis player, an incredible competitor, also incredibly handsome and charismatic. So we are apparently a perfect match, according to Watson. Don't tell my husband that, or his wife. So we brought together these 3 services in the Australian Open application. Again, 6 weeks. But I think we could have envisioned an even cooler experience had we layered in some additional capabilities. So think about adding speech to text. If I wanted to use my mobile device, issue a verbal command, help Watson understand what I'm saying. Or language identification and machine translation. So maybe I'm a non-native English speaker, I want to practice my Spanish, and I want Watson to understand my questions. Or if we'd added image detection, so that I could search for images of maybe Roger Federer throughout the course of the match. So for the team, if they're in the room and listening, you've got approximately 3 months until the French Open. So let's see what you can come up with before then. I think the example you just saw is another scenario that demonstrates how our developer community is delivering the earliest tangible examples of how cognitive applications will deliver value to their enterprises, to their organizations, or to their academic institutions. And a strong community of developers benefits everybody, benefits the collective whole. It creates an environment where, as I said before, we can hear your feedback, but most importantly, we can do something with it, right? We can respond. So since the launch of Developer Cloud, we've been listening to you. And as a result, we're providing better tooling. We're exposing more of our services to allow for individual configuration and adaptation. And we're allowing you to bring your own content. So in short, we're focused on continuous delivery and continuous improvement of the platform that we're building. Getting started is really easy. I can do it. I have done it. I'd encourage everyone to sign up for a free trial of Bluemix. And you can get your hands on not only our services, but documentation, sample applications, code snippets to really help you get started. And to show you how easy it is to build an application on Bluemix, I'd like to welcome Michael Karasik to the stage, our Vice President of Watson Innovations, and Arup Pandya, a member of our senior technical staff. Michael?
Thanks, Alexa. You know, Watson implementations are really not monoliths. They're assembled from a collection of cognitive services. We've been talking about that for a couple of days. Since we launched in 2014, we've been rapidly deploying new capabilities to the Watson zone on Bluemix, as Alexa mentioned. And the response has really been overwhelming. And we've seen this come to life with the variety of applications that people have built on Bluemix. With my colleague, Arup Pandya on keyboards, we'll introduce you to one of these services and show you how easy it is to build your own cognitive application. As you can see, Arup is logged into Bluemix, and now what we're going to do is go to the Watson section and see the services that are available in the zone. Right now there are 13. Mike talked about them earlier, with more being added as they become ready for external consumption. For this demonstration, we're going to pick the Personality Insights service. So what is Personality Insights? It uses linguistic analytics to extract a set of personality and social traits from the way a person communicates. The service can analyze any communication the user makes, such as text, messages, tweets, posts, emails, and more. Like all the services, there's developer documentation, demos, snippets of code, and a description of how to use the service. Services can be run in Ruby, my favorite, Node.js, Java, and more, all standard Bluemix runtimes. It's really everything a developer needs to learn about the service and get started playing with it. There are also sample applications that you can download, customize, and try out. You're about to see the first Watson cognitive application, which I built over the course of about an hour and a half with a little help from my friend here.
Actually, the team since then has made it easier for Personality Insight to get up and running in choice of your own runtime in 2 clicks. It's in the boilerplate section of Bluemix. As you can see, there are 2 boilerplates. I'm going to click on the boilerplate for Java. When I click, it gives me a choice to name the application. I'm going to actually put the name of the application in here, click Create, and when I click the Create, it should actually have a full running application. So our original goal of having a service up and running in prototype mode by a real developer in less than an hour has been achieved.
Outstanding, well done. Really well done. So, how do we automate the process of actually building the application?
So what it does, it'll actually package all the necessary services and the runtimes into a single package. Once it's up and running, it will deploy it onto Bluemix, and now it's available for the developer. It also creates a DevOps entry in the Jazz Hub so that you can actually go in and start modifying the application right from the UI.
All right, so let's start the service up. As I said, we're using the Personality Insights service that Alexa talked about earlier. And the sample app that comes with Personality Insights actually analyzes the beginning of Herman Melville's novel, Moby Dick. We're going to use the famous Call Me Ishmael soliloquy from the beginning of the novel to get a personality description of Ishmael. These are his words. As you can see, Ishmael's personality is displayed as a set of attributes. There's 52 of them. Each is a number between 0 and 100 describing various aspects of their personality. And we organize them under the big 5 personality traits. The system also provides us with a graphical insight into Ishmael's personality, which Arup is showing you now. Looking through that list of numbers, you'll see that Ishmael, surprisingly, as a sailor, is not very good at following orders. His dutifulness, his ability to follow direction, is 21%. And frankly, you'd think that as a sailor on a ship, he would follow orders. Not sure why he's there. But what does that tell you? Well, if you're going to target a message to someone like Ishmael, maybe you should try to convince him to do something rather than order him to do things. Now, on the other hand, if he was very dutiful, very good at following orders, say 80 or 90%, you could just tell him what to do. By understanding a little more about the subject, we're able to more effectively interact and communicate with them. And really, by understanding the people that we interact with as members of our teams, we understand whether someone is a soldier or a leader, follows direction, doesn't. And the kind of insight that you get out of this service provides a ton of value to be able to do things like that. Now, Ishmael obviously isn't here, and based on his personality traits, he's probably in a bar. And we'll get to that a little later. But right now, let's try to apply personality insights for ourselves here at Interconnect. What I want to show you is how really easy it is to build an application on top of these services. Now, we're all here in Las Vegas for Interconnect. And what do we do when sessions are over? We meet up, grab a drink, talk. The band from my youth is playing tomorrow, Aerosmith, very first rock concert I ever saw. And, you know, frankly, it would be kind of cool to meet the band, exchange a couple of thoughts over some tequila shots, chat a little bit. So let's use Watson to help out with that. By going into our Personality Insights application, what I'm going to do is compare me, looking at my tweets, and Aerosmith to get a better understanding of what we have in common. And there should be a lot. You can see Personality insight showing that being a software development executive is kind of similar to being in a rock band. You know, who knew? Here are some of the traits where we're most similar. Self-efficacy is the first. People ask me what that means, and it's a trait that a lot of people in this room have in common. It's really the faith that you have in your own ability to carry out what it is that you're supposed to do. Something that you would hope somebody running an organization, software development shop has, and you know, something you would expect that a group assembled to perform does as well. We're adventurous. That's me in Ireland on a bike trip. Cautious. We have self-discipline, and we have sympathy, which is one I'd frankly like to ask the band about. I was kind of interested in that one. Net is I can see the similarities here. In both software development and rock and roll, self-discipline keeps the team together, and adventure fuels creativity and innovation. So what we did is we took the demo application that came with Personality Insights and customized it. We wrote a little function as an add-on to the service. And it's not much. It's about 10 lines of code, and you're looking at it on the screen now. When we run the application, it produces the top 5 character attributes that I share with Aerosmith, or Alexa shares with Roger Federer. I'm showing a key area that shows how the traits are sorted and then selected to be displayed in the UI we just saw. It's pretty simple code. So we started with the demo application. We deployed it. We modified it to compare my personality to that of Aerosmith. And then we looked at the most common attributes. Kind of cool. So really, this is the beginning of a journey for all of us. We have 13 services available today. And imagine a future with many, many more. The applications that you'll create, both today and in the future, will be cool, meaningful, amazing, and easy to write, most importantly. And just so you know, Arup wrote about 100 lines of code to turn the Personality Insights demo application into what we just showed. I invite you to visit the IBM Watson Zone in Bluemix, get an account, and get started to infuse the power of cognitive computing into the applications today. Just go to ibmwatson.com/developercloud to get started. Arup, thanks. And Alexa, back to you.
Thank you, Michael. I always knew you were a rock star, by the way, before you told me, before the comparison. So I'd like to conclude our time together today by sharing one last story. And I think it demonstrates not only how easy it is to get started, but how quickly we can go from a concept to a hard reality. So during the fall semester of last year, we worked with 10 universities. Stephen talked about our focus on academic institutions. And for the first time ever, they offered dedicated courses on Watson. These are universities like Stanford, Berkeley, Northwestern, Carnegie Mellon, and University of Texas at Austin. We gave them the Watson technology, and we asked them to build and launch a business on the basis of our cognitive technologies. We were blown away. I am blown away by what these students were able to accomplish in such a short period of time. Most notably was the team from University of Texas at Austin, so hook 'em horns for any of you football fans. Disappointing season last year, but you can be proud of what this team accomplished. Their Call Scout application secured first place in the competition and resulted in a $100,000 investment. It's an incredible example of how working with Watson, they can change the world, and we can all change the world.
You've seen what 6 students did over 12 weeks. Right? You've seen what you can do with 100 lines of code. And you've seen what business partners can do to transform entire industries like retail. So to conclude today, I'd like to go back to my opening question. What will you do with Watson? Let's find out. We're looking forward to working with you. Thank you.